Why are you singing? What is making a poor girl like you happy? Don't you see, this house is a graveyard of dreams. I don't want any joy around me. I'm joyless. Leave my sight. That was the first day Hope dared to knock again, even when Juliet slammed the door. What would make a woman who once had everything, power, wealth, and love, become this bitter? They say money can buy comfort, but never peace. Watch this emotional story to the very end to discover what truly broke her heart and what healed it. The rain drummed against the windows of the grand mansion in Victoria Island, Lagos, like endless tears. Inside the luxurious bedroom upstairs, Juliet Okafor sat in her wheelchair, staring blankly at the grey sky. She had once been a woman of power, a billionaire who commanded boardrooms and built empires. Now, she was only a shadow of herself. It had been 2 years since the accident that destroyed her life. A drunk driver had run the red light at Ozumba Mbadiwe Avenue and crashed into her car. In that single moment, Juliet lost her twin daughters, Mary and Martha, who were only 5 years old, the baby she was carrying, and the use of her legs. The doctors had told her the cruel truth. Her spine was too damaged. She would never walk again. And her womb was so traumatized that pregnancy was impossible. Her world had collapsed. "Madam, your breakfast is ready," a timid voice said from the doorway. Juliet did not turn. This was the 7th caregiver in 6 months. None lasted long. Her husband, Emeka, kept hiring them, but Juliet always drove them away with her sharp tongue and heavy anger. "I didn't ask for breakfast," she snapped. "But madam, you haven't eaten since yesterday. You need strength," said Mrs. Adebayo, the current caregiver. "Strength for what?" Juliet wheeled around, her eyes burning. "To sit in this chair forever? To remember my dead children every day? Take it away." Shaking, the woman carried the tray out. Juliet turned back to the window. The mansion felt like a tomb. Every corner reminded her of her children. The playroom was still frozen in time toys scattered, coloring books half filled, tiny shoes waiting for feet that would never return. Emeka had tried everything. Therapists, medicines, even a trip to Jerusalem. Nothing worked. The Juliet he had married, full of light and fire, seemed to have died with Mary and Martha. 3 days later, Mrs. Adebayo knocked on Emeka's study door. "Sir, I can't continue," she said quietly. "Your wife, she threw her medicine at me today. I know you pay well, but I have my own family to think of." Emeka sighed heavily. He was a man who always found solutions in business, but Juliet's grief was one problem he could not solve. "I understand," he said. "Thank you for trying." As she left, Emeka rubbed his forehead. Maybe Juliet needed to be placed in a professional care home. Maybe she would never heal. Maybe the woman he loved was gone forever. The next morning, Mama Nkechi, the housekeeper, entered Emeka's study. "Oga, a young lady is outside about the caregiver job. She has no experience, but she seems different. She has been waiting under the hot sun for 3 hours. She said she will wait until tomorrow if necessary." Emeka raised his brows. "Send her in." A young woman entered. She looked about 25. Her clothes were neat but old, and her eyes were kind. Good morning, sir. My name is Funmi Adebayo. I'm here for the caregiver position. Adebayo? Any relation to Mrs. Adebayo who just left? No, sir. It's a common name. I'm from Ibadan. Emeka asked about her experience. Funmi clasped her hands nervously. I don't have formal training, sir, but my mother has kidney disease. For 3 years I've cared for her. She gets angry sometimes, but I understand. Pain makes people bitter. Emeka leaned back. My wife is difficult. 7 caregivers have quit. Why do you think you can stay? Funmi's voice was calm. Sir, hurt people hurt people. I believe your wife is not angry at me, but at her pain. Everyone deserves compassion, especially when they are broken. I need this job for my mother's surgery. But more than that, I won't give up on her. Emeka was touched by her sincerity. The pay is 200,000 naira monthly, with food and lodging. The hours are long. Are you sure? Yes, sir, I am sure, Emeka nodded. You start tomorrow. As she left, for the first time in months, Emeka felt a spark of hope. Maybe this young woman was different. The next morning, Funmi knocked softly on Juliet's bedroom door and walked in with a tray. Good morning, Ma. I'm Funmi, your new caregiver. I brought your breakfast. Juliet didn't turn. I don't want it, and I don't want you either. Pack your bags and go. Funmi gently opened the curtains, letting in a soft stream of sunlight. It's a beautiful day, Ma. The birds are singing. Juliet spun around angrily. Did you not hear me? Close those curtains. Without fear, Funmi closed them again, leaving a faint glow in the room. Would you like them fully closed, Ma? Juliet stared, surprised. Most caregivers either cried or argued. This girl was calm. Yes, close them completely. Funmi obeyed. Then she smiled gently. Your breakfast is yam and eggs. Mama Nkeji told me it's your favorite. Juliet blinked. How do you know that? I asked her. Ma, I want you to be comfortable. I'm not hungry. Here. That's okay. I'll leave it here in case you change your mind. Is there anything else you'd like, Ma? Yes. Leave me alone. Funmi nodded politely. At the door, she said softly, Ma, I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone anymore. She left. Juliet sat quietly, confused. For the first time in weeks, she reached for the breakfast tray. The days that followed fell into a strange routine. Every morning, Funmi brought breakfast with a smile. When Juliet refused, she didn't argue. She simply left the tray within reach and continued her work. Your therapy appointment is at 2 p.m. today, Ma. Funmi would say. I'm not going. Juliet would reply coldly. That's fine, Ma. I'll reschedule for tomorrow. No lectures, no raised voice. Just quiet persistence. Juliet didn't understand. Why wasn't this girl afraid? Why didn't she give up like all the others? One morning, as Funmi organized her medicine, Juliet spoke suddenly. Why aren't you afraid of me? Funmi looked up, confused. Why should I be afraid, Ma? Because I'm always angry. I say terrible things. I throw things at people. Funmi tilted her head gently. My mother gets angry too when she's in pain. Pain makes people lash out. I know your anger isn't really about me. And what if it is? Juliet challenged. Then I would still take care of you, Ma, Funmi said softly. Because caring for people is not about whether they like us. It's about seeing their value, even when they can't see it themselves. Juliet stared at her, speechless. For the first time in 2 years, something inside her shifted. That afternoon, she attended her therapy appointment. A few weeks later, as the anniversary of the accident drew close, Juliet's moods worsened. You're useless, she screamed one afternoon, throwing her lunch plate at the wall. Food splattered everywhere. Why did Emeka hire you? You can't do anything right. Juliet expected her to quit. Instead, Funmi calmly cleaned the mess. I'll prepare another meal, Ma, she said softly. You must be hungry. Juliet sat frozen in shame. Nobody had ever responded like that. Later that evening, Juliet wheeled toward the kitchen, intending to apologize. But she stopped at the doorway when she heard singing. Funmi's voice filled the air, a Yoruba song about perseverance. She sang while cooking, even dancing lightly. Her face was radiant, her movements graceful. Juliet was stunned. How could this young woman, poor and struggling, still find joy? When Funmi noticed her, she smiled warmly. Ma, I was just preparing your food. Are you feeling better? Juliet whispered. You were singing. Yes, Ma. I always sing when I cook. It helps me remember the good things in life. That I woke up healthy. That my mother is still alive. That the sun rose today. And that I get to care for you. Tears pricked Juliet's eyes. Will you sing for me? Funmi sat beside her and sang a soft song of healing. Juliet closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, she felt peace. From that day forward, things changed. When her dark moods came, Juliet didn't throw things. Instead, she called gently. Funmi, please sing for me. In cars, Funmi would drop everything and come. Sometimes she sang songs of sorrow, acknowledging Juliet's pain. Other times, joyful songs that reminded Juliet life still held beauty. Slowly, Juliet began to eat regularly. She took her medicines without argument. She went to therapy more often. Emeka noticed with amazement. At dinner, Juliet even laughed once. The woman he thought he had lost forever was returning. One evening at dinner, Juliet asked, Funmi, tell me about your mother. Funmi's face grew serious. She's 52. She has been battling kidney disease for 3 years. The doctors say she needs surgery we cannot afford. That's why I needed this job. Every naira I earn goes to her treatment. Juliet frowned. And yet you're always happy. How? Funmi smiled softly. Because my mother taught me happiness is a choice. Life will always bring sadness, but joy must be invited to stay. That night, Juliet lay awake, replaying those words. For 2 years, she had let grief take over her heart. Maybe it was time to invite joy. 3 months later, something extraordinary happened. During a therapy session, Juliet suddenly felt tingling in her toes. It's probably phantom sensations, her doctor warned, but the feeling grew stronger over the weeks. Then one day, leaning on the parallel bars, Juliet took a shaky step forward. "Ma, you walked!" Funmi cried in joy. Juliet burst into tears. Step by step, she moved across the room. It felt like a miracle. She wanted to tell Emeka immediately, but Funmi whispered, "Let's surprise him. Practice first." Juliet agreed. One morning, while Juliet was practicing walking with Funmi's help, Funmi's phone rang. She glanced at the screen. It was her younger sister Kemi calling from Ibadan. "Hello?" Funmi's face turned pale as she listened. "What? Mama collapsed? She's in the hospital?" The doctor said, "She doesn't have much time." The phone slipped from her hand. Tears filled her eyes. Juliet wheeled closer. "What happened?" Funmi broke down, sobbing. "Mama's kidney failure has worsened. Without immediate surgery, she will die. But I don't have the money. I failed her." Juliet's eyes hardened with determination. "Pack your bags. We are going to Ibadan." Funmi shook her head. "Ma, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm telling you. You saved me when I was drowning. Now I will fight for you." At first, Emeka was worried. "Juliet, you're still recovering. That trip will stress you." But Juliet's eyes blazed with resolve. "No one is dying when I can help." Emeka sighed. He had not seen this fire in her eyes in years. He agreed. "We'll take the private jet," he said. "I'll call the best kidney specialists in Nigeria." The flight was tense. Funmi sat by the window, silently crying. Juliet held her hand. "Your mother will be fine. Believe it." At the University College Hospital, Ibadan, they found Funmi's mother in a critical state. Her skin was yellow from kidney failure, her breathing shallow. But when she saw Funmi, her eyes lit weakly. "My daughter, you came." Funmi fell to her knees, clutching her hand. "Yes, Mama, I brought help." The woman's eyes flickered to Juliet in her wheelchair. "Who is this?" "This is Madam Juliet Okafor. She is more than my madam, she is family now." Juliet wheeled closer, took the frail hand, and said softly, "Your daughter saved me when I thought my life was over. Now I will save hers." Within hours, Emeka had arranged for a top nephrologist from Lagos to fly in. A private hospital in Ibadan was booked for immediate surgery. Every cost was covered by the Okafors. That night, Funmi cried, "Why are you doing this?" "I'm only your caregiver." Juliet pulled her close. "No, Funmi. You are my sister. You brought light back into my darkness. Now I will fight for yours." The next morning, the surgery began. Juliet prayed silently. Funmi wept outside the theatre. After long hours, the doctor stepped out. The transplant was successful. She will recover. Funmi collapsed in gratitude, holding Juliet's hands. Days later, Funmi's mother regained her strength. Color returned to her face. She could smile again. Juliet visited her daily. "You gave the world a beautiful daughter," she told the woman. "She changed my life. I am honored to help her." The woman wept. "God bless you, Juliet." When they returned to Lagos, something had changed forever. Funmi was no longer just a caregiver. She was family. Juliet even told her, "Stop calling me Ma. Call me Sister Juliet." Funmi smiled through her tears. "Yes, Sister Juliet." One evening in Lagos, Emeka was in the living room, going through documents. "Emeka, can you come here?" Juliet called from upstairs. "Can't it wait?" he muttered, glancing up, then froze. Juliet was standing at the top of the staircase. Slowly, carefully, she took one step, then another, walking down the stairs on her own. "My God," Emeka whispered, rushing to her side, tears streaming. "Juliet, you're walking," she smiled, leaning into his arms. "Funmi helped me practice. We wanted to surprise you." He looked at Funmi, standing by the doorway with tears of joy. "This young woman has given us miracles," Juliet nodded. "More than she will ever know." That night, for the first time in 2 years, Juliet walked into their bedroom by herself. 2 months later, Juliet went for a routine hospital checkup. Dr. Okoye looked at her results with a strange expression. "Mrs. Okafor, we ran the tests 3 times to be sure. You're pregnant." Juliet's mouth fell open. "That's impossible. You said my womb was damaged. You said I could never." "I know," the doctor said gently. "Medically, this shouldn't happen. But sometimes miracles do. You are about 8 weeks along. The baby looks healthy." Juliet sat frozen, shaking with fear and joy. Emeka gripped her hand. "Are you afraid?" "Yes. But I'm hopeful too." When they got home, Funmi saw their faces and rushed over. "Is everything all right?" Juliet whispered, tears running down her cheeks. "We're having a baby." Funmi screamed with joy and hugged her tightly. "Sister Juliet, God has blessed you." The pregnancy was not easy, but Juliet grew stronger every day. Funmi stayed by her side through it all. Finally, on a sunny Tuesday morning, Juliet gave birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him Victor because his life was proof that love and hope can conquer even the darkest pain. As Juliet held Victor in her arms, Emeka kissed her forehead. "You lost everything once, but God restored it all. You are stronger than ever." Funmi stood by their side, smiling through tears. She was no longer just a caregiver. She was family, the sister Juliet had never known she needed. And for the first time in years, the mansion that once echoed with silence was filled with laughter again. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please subscribe and join our growing family of story lovers. Your likes, comments, and shares encourage us to keep bringing you powerful African tales filled with lessons, suspense, and hope. Don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be the first to know when a new story drops.